Far from the bright stars of the Milky Way, a strange ship moved slowly through deep space. The ship was called Vetra. It was big and looked very different from any human ship. Its metal was smooth and shiny, with lights that glowed soft blue. Inside, the air was quiet but tense. Zara stood by a large window in the ship's control room. She looked out at the endless blackness dotted with distant stars. Zara was the leader of the crew. Her skin was a pale green, and her eyes were wide and dark. She felt worry deep inside her chest. The ship had been lost for many weeks. Their navigation system was broken, and all attempts to send messages back home had failed. The crew had been exploring a part of space no one had ever visited before. They were searching for new planets and new life, but now the unknown had turned into a trap. Zara turned away from the window and walked to the small group of crew members gathered around a table. Each of them looked tired. Their clothes were simple and clean, but their faces told stories of long days and sleepless nights. "Any news?" Zara asked, her voice calm but serious. One of the crew, a young scientist named Ril, shook his head. "No, our communications are still dead. We cannot reach anyone, and no one can find us." Another crew member, a strong and quiet engineer named Bex, looked up. "The engines are running low on fuel. If we do not find a way soon, we will drift forever in this space." Zara took a deep breath. She knew they had to act fast. The Vetra was built to explore, not to get lost. She walked to a console filled with buttons and screens. She pressed a few keys and opened a special channel. The crew gathered close as she prepared to send a message. It was a simple message. It said, "We are lost. We need help." The message was sent as a signal. It moved through the empty space, quiet and weak. No one had ever sent a call like this before. It was a hope sent into the dark. The crew waited and watched the screens, but there was no reply. Minutes passed, then hours. The stars outside did not change. The silence was heavy. Zara sat down, feeling the weight of the unknown. She thought about her home world, a place filled with blue skies and green forests. She thought about the people she loved and the life she left behind to explore the stars. She knew the chance of rescue was small. Many explorers had disappeared in this part of space before, but giving up was not an option. Suddenly, a soft beep came from the console. The crew looked up quickly. It was the signal receiver. There was a response. The screen showed a pattern of sounds and symbols. It was strange and different from anything they had seen. Zara called Ril to decode the message. Ril worked fast, his fingers moving over the keys. Slowly, the meaning came clear. The message was from a life form unknown to them. It was a greeting, a sign that someone had heard their call. The crew's eyes opened wide. For the first time in weeks, they felt hope. Zara stood and looked at her team. "We are not alone," she said. "Someone out there is listening." The ship continued its slow journey. The dark space was still around them, but now it felt less empty. Somewhere out there, a new chance waited. Zara smiled faintly. The adventure was not over. It was just beginning. Far across the stars, on a small blue planet called Earth, a young explorer named Mira sat inside her spacecraft. Mira was curious and brave. She loved to learn about the stars and what was beyond her world. Her ship was small but strong, built for long journeys in space. One quiet day, as Mira checked the instruments in her ship, a strange sound came through her radio. It was soft and far away. The sound was a signal, but it did not match any known patterns from Earth or nearby space. Mira's eyes grew wide with interest. She quickly recorded the signal and played it back. The sound was a mix of tones and clicks. Unlike anything she had heard before, she felt a rush of excitement. This could be something new, something important. She moved closer to the communication panel. Her fingers worked fast on the controls, trying to understand the strange message. The signal was weak, but it repeated again and again. It was like a call for help. Mira felt a deep feeling inside her. She thought about how lonely and scared someone must be to send such a signal into the vast space. She decided to respond. It was risky, because no one knew who or what might answer. But Mira's heart told her to try. She sent back a simple message. In a code that all explorers learned, it said, "We hear you. Who are you? Where are you?" Then she waited. Minutes passed slowly. The stars outside the window blinked quietly. Mira's mind raced with questions. What kind of life had sent the call? Were they friends or something else? Suddenly, the radio crackled. A voice spoke through the speakers. It was soft but clear. The voice was not like a human voice. It had a strange rhythm and sound, but it was speaking in words that Mira could understand. "We are lost," the voice said. "Our ship is broken. We need help." Mira's heart beat faster. She was the first human to ever hear an alien voice in space. She smiled and replied, "I'm Mira. I will help you. Tell me what you need." Over the next few minutes, Mira and the voice shared information. The voice said its name was Zara. She was the leader of a ship called Vetra. Zara explained how her crew had been exploring far from their home when their ship broke down. They were trapped in a dangerous part of space with no way to return. Mira listened carefully. She knew this was a moment she would never forget. The call for help was real, and she was the only one who answered on Earth. Mira contacted her team at the space agency. She told them about the alien crew and the ship called Vetra. At first, the team was surprised and unsure if Mira was telling the truth, but the signals were clear and could not be ignored. The agency began to prepare a plan. They wanted to help Zara and her crew, but space was big, and the lost ship was very far away. It would take time to send rescue ships. Meanwhile, Mira stayed in touch with Zara. They talked about the stars, their lives, and their hopes. Mira learned that Zara's people had a peaceful way of life. They valued knowledge and friendship. Zara was strong and kind, but worried about her crew. Mira shared stories about Earth, about oceans, mountains, and cities full of people. Zara was curious and amazed. Neither of them had ever imagined they would meet someone so different, so far away. Despite the distance, a friendship grew between the two explorers. They both wanted to find a way to save the Vetra and bring its crew home. One day, Zara told Mira about the dangerous nebula near their ship. The nebula was a huge cloud of gas and dust that made navigation very difficult. It also interfered with their systems and made rescue almost impossible. Mira thought hard. She remembered the training and knowledge she had about space and technology. She believed that with the right plan, they could guide Vetra through the nebula safely. She sent instructions to Zara, explaining how to use the ship's remaining power carefully and avoid the worst parts of the cloud. Zara shared the plan with her crew, and they worked together to follow Mira's advice. The ship moved slowly but carefully. Every small success brought hope. The crew's faces, once tired and scared, showed signs of relief. Mira watched the data on her screen. She felt proud and happy, even though she was just one person. She was making a difference. She was proving that humans could be brave, kind, and smart when it mattered most. Days passed. The communication between Mira and Zara became stronger. They learned from each other and grew closer. The crew of Vetra started to trust that they might survive this challenge. Then, one night, Mira looked out at the stars and thought about how strange and wonderful the universe was. So many worlds, so many lives, and now, a chance for two very different people to help each other. She whispered softly to herself, "We will find a way. We will bring them home." The signal that began, as a lonely call in the dark, had found its answer, and a new chapter in space exploration was beginning. The stars shone bright outside Mira's small spacecraft as she continued her long watch. The link between her and the Vetra was still active. Every message from Zara brought hope to the lost alien crew and excitement to Mira. Zara sat in the control room of the Vetra, feeling the pressure of their situation, but also a new sense of trust. She looked at her crew, whose faces were tired but determined. Each person was working hard, following Mira's instructions as best as they could. The Vetra was unlike any ship Mira had ever seen in pictures or simulations. It was smooth and elegant, built with materials that seemed to glow softly. The technology was advanced but unfamiliar, despite the differences. The problem was the same. They were lost and needed help. Zara opened the communication channel again. "Mira, we want to thank you for answering our call. You have given us hope when we thought none remained." Mira smiled and replied, "We are in this together now. You are not alone. Tell me everything about your ship and your needs." Zara explained that their navigation systems were damaged after passing through a strange energy field. The engines still worked, but the fuel was low. The ship's life support systems were stable, but only for a limited time. They needed to find a safe path out of the nebula before supplies ran out. Mira listened carefully and thought about what Earth's space experts could do. "I will send all the information to Earth. They will help create a rescue plan." "Thank you," Zara said quietly. "But until then, we must survive here." The two leaders talked for hours, sharing details about their ships, their worlds, and their lives. Mira described Earth's blue oceans, tall mountains, and busy cities. Zara spoke of her home planet, a place of wide green plains and tall trees under twin suns. Though their worlds were very different, both understood the same feelings: fear, hope, and the desire to live. Mira found herself fascinated by Zara's people. Their language was melodic and soft, yet strong. Their ways of thinking were both logical and kind. Mira knew that humans often thought they were the smartest in the universe. But this meeting showed her how much more there was to learn. Zara felt the same. Meeting a human was a moment she never expected. She had heard stories of other species, but never imagined she would speak to one. Their conversations were not easy. Sometimes words were lost or meanings unclear. They worked patiently, using simple language and asking many questions. Slowly, trust grew between the two. Meanwhile, on Earth, the news of the contact with Vetra spread quickly. Scientists and leaders were amazed and excited. Some were cautious, fearing the unknown, but most believed that helping Zara's crew was the right thing to do. Mira spent many hours talking to the space agency. She shared every detail and helped create a rescue plan. The plan was difficult. The rescue ships had to travel a long distance through dangerous space to reach the Vetra. It would take days, maybe weeks. Zara's crew worked with Mira's team to improve the Vetra's systems as much as possible. They repaired what they could and prepared for the journey through the nebula. One of the crew members, a navigator named Ren, worked closely with Mira. Ren was quiet but very smart. He studied the data Mira sent and helped find safe routes through the cloud of gas and dust. Together, they used Earth's maps of space and Vetra's sensors to avoid the worst dangers. Every small success made the crew more confident, but the journey was not easy. The nebula was thick and dark. Strange bursts of energy would sometimes disrupt the ship's systems. Alarms went off, and the crew had to act fast to fix problems. At one moment, the ship's shields dropped suddenly. Zara shouted orders to protect the crew and repair the damage. Mira stayed calm and helped guide them through the crisis. Each problem reminded them that time was short. The Vetra could not survive much longer without help. One evening, Mira sent a message to Zara. "You are doing very well. Keep the crew safe and trust your skills. The rescue ships are on their way." Zara answered, "Thank you, Mira. Your strength gives us hope." Despite the danger, the two leaders felt a bond growing between them. They shared not only information, but also feelings of friendship and respect. Mira thought about the vast space around her and how small her ship was. Yet, she knew she carried the hopes of many. Zara's crew trusted her, and Earth trusted her. Zara looked at her people and saw hope in their eyes again. They were not alone. A new friend from a distant world was helping them. Suddenly, a strange signal came through the communication channel. It was from the Vetra, but different from before. The signal was a message of thanks, but also a question. "We want to know more about you, Mira." Zara said, "Your world, your people, your life." Mira smiled. She realized this was more than a rescue mission now. It was the first step towards something greater, friendship between worlds. She began to tell Zara about Earth, her family, her dreams. Zara shared stories of her childhood, the places she loved, and the friends she missed. The two worlds, once strangers, were now connected by a fragile but growing trust. As Mira listened to Zara's voice through the stars, she felt sure of one thing: this was only the beginning of a new story for both their peoples. The adventure of discovery, survival, and friendship had started. The Vetra continued its slow, careful journey through the thick clouds of the nebula. Outside the ship's windows, the stars seemed hidden behind layers of swirling gas and dust. The nebula was a dangerous place. It was full of unseen forces that could damage the ship and end the crew's hopes. Inside the control room, Zara and her crew worked without rest. Every day was a test of patience and skill. The engines hummed quietly but worked hard to keep the ship moving. The crew knew they could not stop or fall asleep. If they slowed down, the nebula could pull them deeper into its dark heart. Zara looked at the small crew gathered around her. Their faces were tired but still filled with hope. Each person was doing their best to keep the ship alive. The engineer, Bex, was repairing circuits damaged by the nebula's energy bursts. The scientist Ro was studying the clouds to find a safer path. The navigator Ren was adjusting the ship's course again and again. "Keep the shields up," Zara ordered. "We cannot let the energy bursts hit the engines again." Bex nodded and worked quickly to strengthen the shields. Outside, the nebula seemed to sense their movement. Bright flashes of light appeared as the ship passed through pockets of charged gas. On Earth, Mira watched the data coming from the Vetra. She felt a mix of worry and hope. She knew the rescue ships were still days away. Until then, she had to guide Zara's crew through the dangers of the nebula. "Zara, listen carefully," Mira said over the communication channel. "I have studied this nebula. There are areas with less energy where your ship can move more safely. Use the sensors to find these pockets. Avoid the red clouds. They are the most dangerous." Zara replied, "We are trying." The nebula changes fast. Sometimes safe pops close quickly. Mira thought hard. She knew the ship's fuel was running low. Every detour could waste precious energy. She decided to send more detailed instructions. "I will send you a new route map based on the latest data. Follow it carefully. I believe it will bring you closer to safe space." Zara's eyes shone with hope. "Thank you, Mira. We will try." The crew worked together, using the new map and the ship's sensors. The Vetra moved slowly but steadily. Every small success brought a smile to Zara's face. But the nebula was not finished with them. One day, a sudden burst of energy hit the ship's engines. Alarms screamed loudly. The lights flickered. The ship shook as the power went down. "Engine failure." Bex shouted. "We are losing power fast." Zara stayed calm. "Everyone, get to your stations. We must keep life support running." The crew rushed to their positions. Bex and Ro worked to repair the engines. Mira watched the situation from her ship and gave advice. "Try to reset the main power grid." Mira said, "Use the backup systems if you can." The crew followed Mira's instructions. Slowly, power returned. The engines hummed again, and the alarms stopped. It was a small victory, but a very important one. Zara looked at her crew and smiled. "Well done. We will survive." As days passed, the Vetra got closer to the edge of the nebula. The dangerous clouds began to thin. The stars outside became brighter. Mira sent another message. "You are almost free. Hold on just a little longer." Zara answered, "We will. Your help has saved us." The crew felt stronger with each passing hour. They knew rescue ships were coming from Earth, but they also understood they had to take care of themselves until then. Zara thought about how far they had come. From being lost and alone, they had found a friend in a distant world. This gave them courage. At night, when the crew rested, Zara looked out the window. She imagined Earth and Mira, a brave human who had reached across the stars to help them. She whispered, "Thank you, friend. We will not forget you." The Vetra moved slowly but steadily. The nebula was still behind them, but freedom was close. And on Earth, Mira prepared for the day she would finally meet the crew of the Vetra face to face. The vast space was still full of mystery and danger, but hope now shone brighter than any star. The Vetra was moving carefully through the last thick clouds of the nebula. The crew felt hopeful, but danger still loomed. Their engines had taken damage, and fuel was running low. If they could not find a way out soon, the journey might end. Here. Zero stood at the control panel, studying the ship's systems. The lights on the console flickered with warnings. The engines were weak, and the power was not steady. We cannot use full power, Zero told the crew. We must find another way. Bex, the engineer, nodded. We have tried every repair. The engines are close to failure. Zero took a deep breath. She thought about Mira, the human who had helped them so much from far away. Mira had sent maps and advice, but this problem was bigger than just finding a path suddenly. A new message arrived from Mira's ship. Zero opened the channel quickly. Mira, we have a serious problem. Engines failing. Fuel low. What can we do? Mira's calm voice replied, I have an idea. It is risky, but may work. Zero listened carefully as Mira explained. There's a way to use the gravity of a nearby star to speed up your ship. It is called a gravity slingshot. Your ship will move faster without using extra fuel. But it needs careful timing and exact calculations. Ren, the navigator, stepped forward. A gravity slingshot. It sounds dangerous. What if we make a mistake? Mira answered, It is dangerous, yes, but it could save you. I will help guide you every step of the way. Zero looked at her crew. They trusted her to make the right decision. She nodded slowly. We will try your plan, Mira. The crew began to prepare. Ren worked with Mira to calculate the best path around the star. Bex checked the engines and shields to make sure the ship could handle the forces they would face. For the first time in many days, the crew felt excitement mixed with fear. The plan was bold, but it was their only chance. Mira's voice guided them. Ready your ship for the slingshot. I will tell you when to turn and when to hold steady. The Vetra approached the bright star, its light shining like a beacon in the dark space. The ship's shields glowed stronger as they entered the star's gravity field. Zera's hands were steady on the controls, but her heart beat fast. The ship began to pull closer to the star, faster and faster. Hold steady. Mira's voice came through. Now, turn to the right. Use the star's gravity to push you forward. The ship turned sharply, feeling the power of the star's pull. Inside, the crew held their breath as the forces pushed against them. Bex monitored the engines. The power is rising. The slingshot is working. Zera smiled with relief. Good work, everyone. Keep going. The Vetra flew around the star, gaining speed. The dangerous clouds of the nebula grew smaller behind them. Fuel levels held steady, and the ship's systems began to stabilize. Mira watched the data carefully. You are doing great. The slingshot will send you out of the nebula soon. Ren added, I have adjusted the course. We will escape the dangerous areas shortly. Suddenly, the ship shook. A burst of energy from the star hit their shields. Alarms sounded again. Bex acted quickly, shields holding. We need to keep the engine steady. Zera nodded. Stay calm. We are almost free. With careful skill, the crew worked to keep the ship safe. The Vetra moved faster now, riding the star's gravity like a surfer on a wave. After a tense few minutes, the ship cleared the nebula. The dark clouds disappeared, and bright stars appeared in every direction. The crew cheered quietly, hope-filled. The control room. Zera looked at her team. We did it. We are free. Mira smiled on her ship. You show great courage. I am proud of you. The Vetra now had a clear path. The rescue ships from Earth were still days away, but the crew felt stronger and ready to hold on. Zera sent a message to Mira. Your idea saved us. Thank you for believing in us. Mira answered. You all were brave. Together, we will bring you home. The bond between the two worlds grew stronger. The challenge had been great, but with trust and courage, they had found a way. Zera looked out at the stars and thought about the journey ahead. The adventure was far from over, but now they had hope and a friend in the vast universe. The Vetra moved steadily forward, carrying its crew towards safety and a future they once thought impossible. The Vetra was moving carefully through the last thick clouds of the nebula. The crew felt hopeful, But danger still loomed. Their engines had taken damage, and fuel was running low. If they could not find a way out soon, the journey might end. Here. Zero stood at the control panel, studying the ship's systems. The lights on the console flickered with warnings. The engines were weak, and the power was not steady. We cannot use full power, Zero told the crew. We must find another way. Bex, the engineer, nodded. We have tried every repair. The engines are close to failure. Zero took a deep breath. She thought about Mira, the human who had helped them so much from far away. Mira had sent maps and advice, but this problem was bigger than just finding a path suddenly. A new message arrived from Mira's ship. Zero opened the channel quickly. Mira, we have a serious problem. Engines failing. Fuel low. What can we do? Mira's calm voice replied, I have an idea. It is risky, but may work. Zero listened carefully as Mira explained. There's a way to use the gravity of a nearby star to speed up your ship. It is called a gravity slingshot. Your ship will move faster without using extra fuel. But it needs careful timing and exact calculations. Ren, the navigator, stepped forward. A gravity slingshot. It sounds dangerous. What if we make a mistake? Mira answered, It is dangerous, yes, but it could save you. I will help guide you every step of the way. Zero looked at her crew. They trusted her to make the right decision. She nodded slowly. We will try your plan, Mira. The crew began to prepare. Ren worked with Mira to calculate the best path around the star. Bex checked the engines and shields to make sure the ship could handle the forces they would face. For the first time in many days, the crew felt excitement mixed with fear. The plan was bold, but it was their only chance. Mira's voice guided them. Ready your ship for the slingshot. I will tell you when to turn and when to hold steady. The Vetra approached the bright star, its light shining like a beacon in the dark space. The ship's shields glowed stronger as they entered the star's gravity field. Zera's hands were steady on the controls, but her heart beat fast. The ship began to pull closer to the star, faster and faster. Hold steady. Mira's voice came through. Now, turn to the right. Use the star's gravity to push you forward. The ship turned sharply, feeling the power of the star's pull. Inside, the crew held their breath as the forces pushed against them. Bex monitored the engines. The power is rising. The slingshot is working. Zera smiled with relief. Good work, everyone. Keep going. The Vetra flew around the star, gaining speed. The dangerous clouds of the nebula grew smaller behind them. Fuel levels held steady, and the ship's systems began to stabilize. Mira watched the data carefully. You are doing great. The slingshot will send you out of the nebula soon. Ren added, I have adjusted the course. We will escape the dangerous areas shortly. Suddenly, the ship shook. A burst of energy from the star hit their shields. Alarms sounded again. Bex acted quickly, shields holding. We need to keep the engine steady. Zera nodded. Stay calm. We are almost free. With careful skill, the crew worked to keep the ship safe. The Vetra moved faster now, riding the star's gravity like a surfer on a wave. After a tense few minutes, the ship cleared the nebula. The dark clouds disappeared, and bright stars appeared in every direction. The crew cheered quietly, hope-filled. The control room. Zera looked at her team. We did it. We are free. Mira smiled on her ship. You show great courage. I am proud of you. The Vetra now had a clear path. The rescue ships from Earth were still days away, but the crew felt stronger and ready to hold on. Zera sent a message to Mira. Your idea saved us. Thank you for believing in us. Mira answered. You all were brave. Together, we will bring you home. The bond between the two worlds grew stronger. The challenge had been great, but with trust and courage, they had found a way. Zera looked out at the stars and thought about the journey ahead. The adventure was far from over, but now they had hope and a friend in the vast universe. The Vetra moved steadily forward, carrying its crew toward safety and a future they once thought impossible. The rescue ships and the Vetra moved together now, traveling through the quiet stars toward Earth. The long journey was filled with new energy and hope. The alien crew, once lost and scared, now felt safe and connected to a world far away. Zara stood in the control room of the Vetra. She watched the stars as they passed by. Her heart was full of gratitude for Mira and the people of Earth who had saved them. She thought about what awaited them at the end of the journey, a new world, new friends, and a chance to learn. Mira sat nearby in the human ship. She smiled as she looked at the alien crew through the communication screen. Their faces showed hope and curiosity. The barriers between their worlds were slowly breaking down. Zara, Mira said, soon you will see Earth with your own eyes. It is not perfect, but it is home. Zara nodded. We are ready to learn and share. Our journey has shown us the strength in friendship. The crews worked together, sharing stories about their planets, their families, and their dreams. The language barrier was small now. They used simple words and pictures to understand each other. Every conversation made their bond stronger. One day, Ren asked Mira, "What is the sky like on Earth? Do you have stars like these?" Mira laughed softly. "Yes, the stars are the same everywhere. But the sky on Earth is often blue in the daytime. At night, it is filled with stars. Just like here." Ril, the scientist, was eager to learn. "Can we study Earth's technology when we arrive? Our science is different. But maybe we can share knowledge." Mira smiled. "Yes, we will learn from each other." Bex, the engineer, looked at the repair tools and equipment brought from Earth. "Your machines are very different, but I think together we can fix anything." The journey passed quickly. As the crews prepared for arrival, each day brought new hope and new questions. Finally, Earth came into view. The blue planet shone brightly against the blackness of space. The rescue ships guided the Vetra toward a large space station orbiting Earth. Zara felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. They had traveled so far and faced many dangers. Now, a new chapter awaited. The ships docked at the station. Earth's officials welcomed Zara and her crew warmly. They were amazed by the alien visitors and eager to help. Mira stood beside Zara as they walked through the station's halls. People from many countries came to greet the Vetra's crew, scientists, leaders, and ordinary people all wanted to meet the new friends from space. Zara smiled at the kindness. "We did not expect such welcome. It gives us hope." Mira nodded. Earth is a big place with many differences, but also a great heart. Over the next days, Zara and her crew rested and recovered. Doctors and engineers helped them regain strength. The two worlds shared food, music, and stories. Mira showed Zara Earth's cities, forests, and oceans through videos and pictures. Zara dreamed of walking under Earth's twin suns, feeling the green grass beneath her feet. The leaders began to talk about what would come next. There were questions about trade, science, culture, and peace. Zara and Mira agreed that this was just the start of a new friendship that could last for many years. One evening, under the stars visible from the space station, Zara said quietly, "Thank you, Mira. You saved us and showed us kindness beyond words." Mira smiled back. "And you reminded us that no matter where we come from, we can help each other." As the days passed, plans were made for Zara's crew to visit Earth's surface. There would be meetings, celebrations, and new adventures. The story of the lost crew and the human who answered their call became known across Earth. It inspired many to look to the stars with hope and courage. Zara thought about the future. The universe was vast and full of unknowns. But now she knew that friendship could light the darkest paths. Mira looked up at the stars, knowing that beyond Earth, new stories were waiting to be told. Together, they had crossed the void between worlds. Together, they had found new horizons. The adventure was just beginning.